When HBO released the Watchmen series, it received lots of praises, and it also had some backlash because of its take on the DC comics of the same name. With this, it was a sequel to the comic books, and it was created by Damon Lindelof, who did Lost, and he also did The Leftovers. And for the series, it touched on racial tensions in 1920s America from that time all the way to the present. But then it also happened to be a superhero show. Fast forward to now, and HBO has another new show, Lovecraft Country. It deals with racial tensions again, but set in 1950s Jim Crow America. And instead of the superhero genre, this one touches on the Lovecraftian horror. Therefore, it got the name Lovecraft Country. And it's a supernatural horror series featuring surprising twists, disturbing atmosphere, and spine chilling monsters.
Nerd Reactor, roll out.
So, Lovecraft Country, it's based on the book of the same name by Matt Ruff. And it's a 10 episode series following Atticus Freeman, played by Jonathan Majors, his childhood friend Letitia, played by Journey Smollett, which you may have seen in Birds of Prey, and also his uncle George, played by Courtney B. Vance. And the trio, together, they're going on a road trip from Chicago across America in the hopes of finding Atticus's missing father, played by Michael Kenneth Williams. Lovecraft Country, it's a horror show where the monsters aren't really the creatures that are haunting the main characters at night. It's actually the humans. The humans who are racist, who are out for just making their lives miserable, and it's a bad time, bad and terrifying time. And even though we follow these main characters around, it feels inspired by episodes of The Twilight Zone, where it feels like there are different stories and weird encounters, but we're still following the same characters. So I like how they pull that off, where you introduce these characters and you see them later with their own stories, but they all are part of the same universe. They still connect. As I mentioned before with the stuff from Watchmen, this show would draw a lot of comparisons to that show, especially since they're both on HBO. They both have black people struggling during Jim Crow America, the dangers of being a gay person in the past. It also has, or both shows have tentacles and sci-fi elements. And besides that, Lovecraft Country, it holds its own with the different subject matter. For example, there's one where there's a black person who gets to become, who gets to become a white person. Wait a minute, that's also in Watchmen. So scratch that. Joking aside, Lovecraft Country, it captures the scariness of being black in 1950s America, including driving and eating in a sundown town. And I was like, what is a sundown town? So I actually learned it from this. Like, I'm kind of sad that I didn't know about this before, but sundown towns, when the sun goes down, and if you're black or sometimes minority, you would have to leave the area. And if you stay in the area, you could be arrested, or you could be assaulted or hurt, and sometimes even killed. And it's a scary time back then. So you can be there in these sundown towns in the daytime, but once the nighttime hits, you got to get the hell out of there. And so these characters are going to experience that, and it's pretty traumatizing. It's scary. It's like, wow, like watching this, I could never imagine what it's like to be there back then, living during that time. Just know that you're going to be treated in a certain way for how you look, and that's the horror in this horror show. Like, I think that's scarier than all the creatures that we see and experience. Like, the show also tackles the topic of what is it like for a black person to live in a predominantly white neighborhood. In the past, in the 50s, Jim Crow era, they're going to be not happy, this neighborhood that we experience, and they want nothing to do with this black person in this neighborhood, and so they'll do anything to just harass this person to get them out of the town. And it's kind of sad, but that's like part of history, and the show captures that. So that's what I really love about these shows like Watchmen and Lovecraft Country. It's able to tackle these really traumatic experiences, stuff that's still happening now, of just the mistreatment of black people, but then also introducing elements that are very fun for sci-fi fans, for supernatural fans, for comic book fans. Like with Watchmen, it has the superhero genre where you get to see, you know, heroes, different types of heroes fighting, but dealing with a dark history, a dark past. And with Lovecraft Country, it's the same thing with dealing with this dark past of American history, while also introducing something that's interesting, like sci-fi and fantasy and all that. And I love these things, these out of this world stuff, while also tackling real life stuff that's just hard to watch. Speaking of the supernatural and the sci-fi elements and the Lovecraft part of Lovecraft Country, the show has those. And at the start of the episode, it really sets the mood with what to kind of expect, especially with the opening of the war, the Korean War. And right off the bat, you're shown flying tentacle creatures, flying saucers, tripod machines, and it's crazy. It's nuts. And with the characters, the main characters, we got Atticus, Letitia, George. They'll encounter killer monsters, ghosts, and more. So we're going to get all of that on this show. This show has a lot. And since I only saw the first 5 episodes, and these are early episodes, the special effects, some of them aren't done yet. But from what I saw that are finished, the special effects are pretty striking. It should be surprising because this is HBO we're talking about. One example is one scene where there's a grotesque animation, not animation, but transformation. It's terrifying and cool. And I was like, this is like movie quality stuff. Like, this is why I love modern TV shows now with high budgets, where you don't need to have this on the big screen anymore. You can watch it on the small screen. And you get to have the movie experience now that are extended over many episodes. So it's a great time to be fans of TV shows now. As for the actors, most of them, they give solid performances, including Jonathan Majors and Journey Smollett. I also like Abby Lee as Christina Braithwaite. She has really grown as an actress from what I've seen from her before, which I've only seen one movie, which was Mad Max Fury Road, because she was a supporting actress in that one. Very small role, few lines. But now she's in this one, and she has more. She has a bigger role, and it's her character is interesting and mysterious, and want to learn more about that. But out of all the cast members, the standout performance for me is Wonmi Mosaku, and she plays Ruby, who's Letitia's sister. And her story, she gets introduced as a supporting character, but then her role starts to get bigger, and her story, it's nuts, it's fun, and it's unnerving. And I don't want to say too much about it. You're gonna have to watch that episode, but you're in for a wild ride. If there was a gripe that I had about the show, it would have to be the use of modern music in a historical piece or alternate history, whatever you want to call it. It's set during 1950s, but they would use modern music. They would use hip hop, and that would take me away from this setting. And Misha Green, she did this before with her other show, Underground, and that also took me out of it too when they did that. So I would prefer to have like music appropriate for that time. And the show has music appropriate for that time too. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of that with the music, especially with Ruby's character, who's a singer, and she's singing these jazz music, these blues music. But the other stuff, the other music, the modern stuff, I could do without those. Yeah, overall, I think showrunner Misha Green and her team, they crafted a creepy series with Lovecraft Country. And although it has some similarities with HBO's Watchmen, it's able to bring in another perspective. So what we have is a dark, mysterious journey in 1950s Jim Crow America that's disturbing, spine-chilling, and out of this world with its supernatural elements. And so I love these tackling of dark past in Americans' history or America's history while also introducing the supernatural. So it's a great way to just fuse in two things of the past and something crazy to like entice viewers to watch. And Lovecraft Country, I think, pulls it off. And what I've seen was the first 5 episodes. So hopefully, like the last 5 episodes is going to be even more bonkers and crazier. So I can't wait to check out the rest with you guys. So with that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.